Hello again. It is time for Module 4 of the 2025-2026 Antioch MSAT Clinical Preceptor Training. And this module is dedicated to you. So throughout the module, we will cover essential information for all of our program preceptors, including preceptor qualifications, responsibilities, clinical site requirements, and ultimately how to stay certified as a preceptor. Now, I know that you are all fully capable of reading. I have no doubt about that. But as I have mentioned in previous modules, I feel incredibly honored to have taken on this new role and finally get to do kind of what I always dreamed of doing within this profession. And so I wanted to provide you all with a special note from me as the clinical education coordinator. So, preceptors, I want to take a moment to thank you for your willingness to complete this training, but also to extend my sincerest thank you for your continued commitment to the clinical education of our MSAT students. Your dedication, mentorship, and professionalism are instrumental in shaping the next generation of athletic trainers. Without your time, expertise, and willingness to guide our students, the success of our program would not be possible. As we continue to evolve and strengthen our clinical education model, we have implemented a few important updates this year. These include the development of clear expectations for student progression both academically and clinically, enhanced communication tools between program faculty and clinical sites, and the introduction of preceptor-specific training modules to support consistency and preparedness across all clinical placements. As a faculty, we are excited to continue growing this program and adapting our curriculum and standards to meet the needs of our students and our staff. Whether you are a new addition to our clinical education team or have been with the Otterbein program previously, I want to thank you again for the valuable role that you play within our students' journeys. Your support not only builds strong clinicians, but also strengthens the future of our profession. Please, throughout the year, do not hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, feedback, or suggestions on how we can best move forward together. Thank you. So, now to get really into the module, we'll talk about preceptor qualifications and requirements. So, I don't believe any of these items should come as a shock to you, especially those of you who have been serving as preceptors for quite some time. But this slide provides you with essentially a checklist of what you will need to have in order to serve as a preceptor within the Antioch MSAT program. So as of this year, you must maintain and provide current documentation for your Ohio license. For those few preceptors that do not have an Ohio license, whatever state license that you have, your BSc certification, CPR, and your MPI number. Ideally, I would like all of these items to be uploaded to your preceptor profile within your Typhon group account. But if it is a significant challenge for you, you can provide all of this to me in an email and I will get them uploaded into your preceptor account. Also, you will need to complete all 5 modules of the annual preceptor training, which if you're at this point, you've done 4 or 5, and I strongly believe that you can knock that last one out. So you're almost there. This slide addresses the specific requirements of your clinical site and what we want to see. The most important requirement, as we mentioned in Module 3, I believe, is that each clinical site must have a signed affiliation agreement on file within Antioch University. But again, if I don't have your, if I wouldn't, didn't, oh, I'm sorry, the pregnancy brain. If I didn't have your affiliation agreement on file, you would not be doing this training module. So go ahead and check that one off. But more specific to your site, you must have displayed valid state licenses for all the supervising preceptors, have your emergency action plans posted as a reference for your MSAT students in all of your facilities, and have on file record of all properly calibrated modalities and safety equipment. Having all of these requirements in place helps to ensure not only our students' safety, but also a compliant learning environment for them as well. So, it is our standard and expectation of our preceptors to provide active, in person supervision, instruction, and feedback to all of our MSAT students assigned to the clinical site. It's important to understand that our program identifies supervision as being physically present and having the ability to intervene at any point on behalf of the athletic training student. So, one more time for emphasis, physically present and having the ability to intervene at any point on behalf of the athletic training student. So, with that being said, we still want them to very much work independently and be challenged by you as their preceptor within their clinical experience, but be able to help them if needed. In addition to the supervision, you will also be responsible for evaluating student performance, approving their clinical hours, reviewing all of their proficiencies and documentation within the Typhon Group system, and maintaining open communication with me as the clinical education coordinator. The topic of a clinical site orientation was briefly mentioned in either Module 2 or Module 3. I cannot remember off the top of my head. But before starting any patient care, our students will be responsible for completing a clinical site orientation with their supervising preceptor or preceptors. So, this is something new that we are implementing this year, but I believe that it's something that is going to be very, very valuable for our students as they transition into their clinical site. So, this orientation, at minimum, should include a facility tour, introductions to all of your staff, which would include the sports medicine staff, any coaches or administration that are present, any physicians that may by chance be there that you work with, um, anyone else that you think is essential personnel, really. You should review policies and procedures, as well as your emergency action plans, and have an in-depth discussion with your student on what your expectations are for them while they're at your clinical site. Please also feel free to use this time to discuss anything else that you think will be directly related to their success during their 15-week experience. Students should bring with them a printed clinical orientation form, which must be completed and signed by both you and the student during their orientation. If this is something that they forget, I will give them a little leeway since it's new, that if it's not completed at their orientation, it must be completed on their first day of clinicals. But if they still do not bring it to you by then, they will not be permitted to engage in any patient care at your site. So this is what the clinical orientation form looks like. This is the one that the students will be required to fill out with you. The form helps to just document all of the orientation topics that were reviewed and ensure that the student is fully prepared to begin their clinical rotation. So I have said it, but I will say it again. It is required of them. They have all already received this form via email and know that it is the expectation that it is completed before their first day. So again, if they show up to their orientation day without it, please be sure to make sure that you give them the second chance, I suppose, of completing it on their first day. But if they don't bring it then either, I need to know immediately. So I believe that the discussion of site visits and communication could potentially be a little bit different than it was in years past. But my plan as a clinical education coordinator will be for either me or myself and another faculty member to visit each of our clinical sites 1 to 2 times per semester. So, as some of you know, I am expecting my first son soon. So, this fall will be very flexible as I navigate both my new role as a clinical coordinator and as a first time mom. So, again, please just be patient. But these site visits will allow for clinical observation, obviously, and a chance for student and preceptor feedback with myself while I'm out at the site visit. So, between visits, you will receive hopefully monthly check in emails from me, or potentially text or phone call rather than an email, because I know how many emails we all get as athletic trainers. But please feel free to reach out at any time throughout the semester to discuss student progress or raise concerns if something arises. So, the most important part of why we all want you to be preceptors is so you can get your free CEUs. But in order to remain eligible as a preceptor within our program, you must complete this training in its entirety. As mentioned earlier, you're almost there. Bear with me for probably about 15, 30 more minutes, we'll say. But as we move forward, it will be our goal to have different preceptor trainings for our new versus our veteran preceptors, mainly just to keep you from hating me and feeling like I am wasting your time. So, as we continue to move forward, I will update you on that, and hopefully, we can have that set in stone by the spring. But as a reminder or an incentive to you, preceptors who supervise more than 200 hours, 200 clinical hours annually, can claim up to 5 Category B CEUs. So, obviously, using the Typhon system will allow our students to input their clinical hours. Anything that you approve will be put towards that 200 plus clinical hour total. And then I will distribute certificates to you at the end of the academic year via email. So it is your responsibility to ensure accurate hour tracking by your students in order to be eligible for your preceptor certificate, and then obviously to appropriately document that within the BOC. So another module down, you're almost there, one more to go. Obviously, to finish module 4 and get credit for this module, you must complete the quiz. And I will talk to you in module 5, and we can finally wrap this thing up. Again, I appreciate your time and your willingness to participate, and we will talk soon. Thanks again.